Are you dealing with temper tantrums? Do you want to know how many temper tantrums a day is normal? Well, this is the video for you. We're going to be talking about that. I'm Nicholeen Peck. I'm the mother of 4, previous foster parent of many troubled teens who all had temper tantrums, and I teach parenting, family communication, and child development all over the world through the lens of self-government. In this video, we're going to be talking about temper tantrums and how many we should be expecting. People of all ages can have temper tantrums, and the number of temper tantrums that would be considered normal actually varies by age and developmental ability. So we're going to talk about some of those different ages and what to expect in relation to temper tantrums. Babies don't have a lot of ways to communicate with their parents, and so they go to the emotional part of their brain because that's the most developed part of their brain first. That emotional part of the brain is going to lead to crying fits, temper tantrums way more often than an older person. A normal baby or very young toddler usually has about 2 temper tantrums a day. This doesn't mean that all of them have 2 temper tantrums a day. Sometimes they could have more, sometimes less. In fact, by the time they get to the toddler years, it's actually acceptable to expect that a child does not need to have a temper tantrum every single day. In fact, once they can speak clearly, using complete sentences and understand their parents, which I know for some people, depending on developmental delays and stuff like that, can happen at different times, but usually it happens right around the age 2. Usually they don't need to have temper tantrums anymore because they can express themselves and their parents have taught them how to communicate. Now, if a person has not taught someone how to communicate, the person has not learned the skills for communication, then their temper tantrums are going to significantly increase. So let's talk about older children. How often should a child between the ages of 2 and 6 have a temper tantrum? Not very often. In fact, there really isn't a need unless they have higher levels of anxiety or something else that they're dealing with. I would think that if a child between the ages of 2 and like 6 years old has more than 2 temper tantrums in a week, then probably we need to be looking at what skills are missing. It can be that someone falls into a temper tantrum even if they have the correct skills, just because that is the oldest part of their brains. We need to remember that, but let's also keep in mind that in many families, like in my home and many of the other families that are using the teaching self-government skills and style of parenting, they aren't having temper tantrums very often at all. In fact, my children did not have very many temper tantrums. My 2 boys did have more temper tantrums than my girls, and they had them around the time of age 1.5 to 2, usually stopped having any signs of temper tantrums by the time they were 3 because the skill development was the focus in our home, and our home definitely had an emphasis placed on good communication and seeking to understand each other. Because of that, there was less frustration, which led to less toddler tantrums as well. So let's talk about older children, maybe teens and preteens into early adult and adulthood. There really shouldn't be a need for temper tantrums during this time. So what's normal? Normal is that a person knows how to communicate their needs by now. Normal is they don't need to whine or complain or have attitude problems. If they are having temper tantrums during those ages, then it is a clear sign that they need skill development and they need somebody to be consistently correcting the problems when they see them. I'm going to share with you some things that you can do to hopefully help stop the temper tantrums at your house, but before I do, hit that subscribe button. You are not going to want to miss other videos that I have on this channel specifically dedicated to parents who are trying to help their children overcome troubling behavior and unite the hearts of the family together. Hit the subscribe now. So what types of things do you need to do to prepare your child not to be one of those that's having temper tantrums all of the time? Well, you need to teach them certain skills. There are 4 basic skills that I teach my children starting from the time they are very young, but those 4 basic skills are for all people, even adults. I have to use them myself. The 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. Just think about it. How many adults do you know that start to have a tantrum when someone cuts them off in traffic? Yeah, we call it road rage. That means they can't accept no answers. How many many adults do you know that argue with each other or sit and vent and go crazy about all the stuff on the news in ways where they're showing lots of anger? Those are people who do not disagree appropriately. They're missing that skill. How many people do you know that grumble every time they have to wake up early or do something extra at the office? Those people don't follow instructions. There are so many things in our lives that go right back to those 4 basic skills. If you have younger children, maybe under the age of 12, I've made it super easy for you to teach your children the 4 basic skills by creating these 4 children's books. Each one of them teaches one of the 4 basic skills, and they're very helpful at reinforcing the skills after you've already taught them to the children. In order to not have temper tantrums, your children, especially the older ones, could really benefit from developing that prefrontal cortex, which is where they learn to problem solve better. There is an exercise that I used to help my foster children develop their prefrontal cortex, and it was called a SODAS. Now, this didn't mean I was giving them a soda. It's an acronym that stands for Situation, Options, Disadvantages, Advantages, Solutions. This is a SODAS journal that has all of the worksheets in it so that you can actually write your SODAS exercises and go through that problem-solving development as a family or with your children. You can do SODAS verbally or written, but it's really nice to write them down so that you can refer back to them later when a similar problem presents itself that you need to make a decision about. So when a person is better at problem solving, then they have less tantrums. That's just how it goes. This requires more discussion, more sorting. When my children are little, I used to play a game with them before they were ready for maybe a SODAS exercise. The game I played, and I created actually, was called the what if game. We would be driving the car or sitting around the lunch table, and I would say, let's play the what if game. And they would say, okay. And so I would say, what if mom told you that you couldn't have a cookie but you really wanted one? What would you do? And then their little brain starts turning, and they might say something like, I would disagree appropriately, or I would say, okay, drop the subject. And they would say some of the steps to those skills that I had taught them. And then I would praise them and say what a great job they did. I mean, they could say anything. They could say, I would say, please. They might come up with some of those manners that you've taught them as well. And then you can also tell them, yeah, that's a good idea. You could also say, okay, and decide to be all right with it. And we would talk about all kinds of things, safety things and otherwise. Prepare the child to solve the problems before the problems are there. Then they get less frustrated, and then you have less tantrums. The final thing that you really need to teach your children is what it means to be calm versus what it means not to be calm. Everyone can feel the difference, so you need to just describe it, maybe even act it out. What does a calm face look like? What does a not calm face look like? Talk about that with your children, role play it, practice it, so that they know. One of the most amazing home visits I ever went on was with the Aponte family. So oftentimes people will have me come to their homes and stay for a few days and teach them how to teach self-government in their homes and how to be more calm in their parenting. And so one time I was with this family, and their little 2-year-old son, whose name was Samuel. He was jumping up and down on the chair, waiting for his mom to cook breakfast, and this is busy mom, 12 children, and he's jumping up and down. He's like, Mom, 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 Mom. And he's not necessarily being angry, but he's definitely being kind of loud, and he's kind of getting to that point where he could go into a tantrum if somebody didn't acknowledge him. And I loved that she looked right at him and she said, Samuel, right now you are not having a calm body. So calm face, voice, and body is one of the steps for all 4 of those basic skills. And she had taught Samuel what it meant to have a calm body and a calm face and a calm voice. And she said, you are not having a calm body. And immediately Samuel stopped yelling and jumping. He sat down on the chair and he said, okay, Mom. It was amazing. He was 2 years old. But he knew the difference between calm and not calm. Now, one of the key factors in stopping tantrums is making sure that you actually set the example of calm. That means you have to be calm too. If you need help with your calmness, I have something for you. Because you've watched this video, I am going to give you a free gift. It is called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. There is a link below this video in the description section to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. And when you click that link, you will get the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. So please click on the link now and get the help you need in order to set the example for calmness for your whole family.